Now let me read you a few headlines related to immigration. Isn't it amazing, by the way, this goes on in Boston, and they just keep plowing ahead like nothing ever happened. Oh, this has nothing to do with immigration. Well, what the hell does it have to do with? How'd the guy get in here? Well, how'd the other one get sent? It had nothing to do with immigration. Don't let them derail what we're doing here, because what we're doing is so damn important. You know, importing Democrats. That's what's key. Here's Politico. Politico. The left-wing phony news site. Politico. Here's the headline. Immigration reform could be bonanza for Democrats. The immigration proposal pending in Congress would transform the nation's political landscape for a generation or more, pumping as many as 11 million new Hispanic voters into the electorate a decade from now in ways that, if current trends hold, would produce an electoral bonanza for Democrats and cripple Republican prospects in many states. They now win easily. Now, ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows this is true. Everybody knows this is true, even Politico. And yet we hear we just need an opportunity to convince people of our views. Well, since there's no assimilation going on in this country, since our public school system doesn't teach Americanism but anti-Americanism, since we now have laws and organizations that exist for the purpose of keeping this nation balkanized, when I hear some guys say, we conservatives, we have ways of influencing whom? If they don't understand English, if they're illiterate in their own damn language, how do we get to them? Not only that, when the Democrats are waving food stamps and welfare checks and Social Security in front of people's faces, they come over, they come abroad, they don't even have to come here. We run ads in Mexico and other places for food stamps. These are people who reject the Constitution, and I'm talking about the left in this country, not foreigners. They reject the rule of law. They reject capitalism. So they use the instrumentalities of government against us and to build bigger and bigger constituency groups. How many times have I said the Democrat Party and the federal government are appendages of each other? They need each other. Do you think for one second that Chuck Schumer's involved in this because he cares about capitalism and growing the economy? They outmaneuver us, they outwork us, they outthink us, and our guys, what a bunch of lapdogs, frankly. I'm saying that in the general sense, not pointing to any individual. Beneath the philosophical debates about amnesty and border security, writes Politico, there are brass tacks, partisan calculations driving the thinking of lawmakers in both parties over comprehensive immigration reform, which in its current form offers a pathway to citizenship and full voting rights for a group of undocumented citizens, residents, aka illegal aliens, that roughly equals the population of Ohio. That's our 7th largest state. If these people had been on the voting rolls in 2012 and voted along the same lines as other Hispanic voters did last fall, Obama's relatively narrow victory last fall would have been considerably wider, a Political analysis shows. Key swing states that Obama fought tooth and nail to win, like Florida, Colorado, and Nevada, would have been comfortably in his column, and the president would have come very close to winning Arizona. You believe this? Romney, by contrast, would have lost the national popular vote by 7 percentage points, 53 to 46, instead of 4. He would have struggled to even stay competitive in Texas. I don't give a damn what Paul Ryan says. I don't give a damn what Marco Rubio says or any of the others. These statistics do not lie. And after 1986, I've said it 1,000 times, after Reagan granted flat-out amnesty, and he granted it because Republicans and Democrats in Congress, the same cock and bull stories, the same nonsense, were pressing him. I was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. He signs it. Still no border security. People are automatically becoming citizens, and they're voting Democrat. And one election cycle after he did that, did it help the Republicans? George H.W. Bush was up for election, 1988. He got less of a percentage of the vote than in the prior election cycle. I bring this up to these folks who are promoting this bill. They have no answer. They have no answer. Except to then move. Well, this isn't about politics. It's all about politics. It's all about politics when Schumer and Durbin are involved. It's all about politics when Obama's involved. What does politics mean? What is politics? Politics is the means by which you control the government. And the government now is controlling the civil society. That is your everyday lives. If it's not about politics, then what the hell is it about? Oh, good government. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Then there's this in Politico. Headline, Democrats find much to like in immigration bill. The Senate's Gang of Eight delivered an immigration overhaul bill this week that was far more generous to their constituencies than Democrats and Hispanic activists expected. But don't worry, our guys love it. The pre-bill marketing campaign driven by leaks that seemed to come from Republican negotiators focused on stringent new border control measures and a long, difficult path to citizenship. The goal was to minimize conservative opposition by creating a first impression of the bill as a tough solution to the country's illegal immigration problem. But when Democrats got a look at the 844-page measure, they discovered their negotiators extracted more concessions than they thought possible. Those include an expansive version of the DREAM Act and a subtle but meaningful trade-offs on all the major pieces of the system, from family reunification to legalization and border security. The Democrats are thrilled. The ethnic front groups are thrilled. Now, they're going to pretend, oh, we want more, but they always do that. But they're actually very, very happy. You want to know why? Because we send jerks in there like McCain and Lindsey Graham. McCain and Lindsey Graham. So far, negotiators have seemed to have quieted dissension on both sides, but that could change as lawmakers and activists give the bill a close look. Democrats are reluctant to sound too positive, fearing that would scare away Republicans. Their original response to the bill has been muted, with one press release after another calling it a starting point, which must be improved. Of course, it's always a starting point with the left, until we're all out there in the rice fields, one standing next to the other, barefoot, with our straw baskets, collecting rice, and fighting over who has more rice than the next guy. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, there never will be perfect equality, and these nut jobs are dragging us into misery. And I refuse to be dragged. This bill is unacceptable. It's massive. It's expensive. And I'm sorry, Paul Ryan and Larry Kudlow, two dear friends of mine. I'm sorry. But let's not pretend this involves economic growth. Economic growth? You got to be kidding me. And, of course, Obama, by his own record, what Obama will do is he'll go through an 844-page bill and he'll say, you know what, I like pages 1 through 50, so I think I'll comply with those. But pages 51 to 78, I don't like those. And I'm sure I have discretion, you see, because the Supreme Court said in a 5-4 decision I have discretion, and even if they wind up not saying I do, I can screw around with this for 3 years. You know, like welfare reform. I've concluded that workfare doesn't exist. Even though it says shall, I've concluded shall means I'll do whatever the hell I want to do. So when you have a president of the United States who's imperial, who does not follow the rule of law, when you have Democrats who are ecstatic but keeping their mouths shut about the product that came from the gang of this and the gang of that, and then you have our guys talking about, oh, this is for economic growth. Well, wow, I don't think I can support this because somehow I don't think this has anything to do with economic growth. And then there's this headline. You ready for this one? This is the Washington Times, which is actually a newspaper. 99.5% of illegal immigrants get approved for legal status. Say what? Yes, 99.5% of illegal immigrants get approved for legal status. Do you realize that that's like the purest kind of silver or gold you can get? That's considered pure. That's absolute. 99.5%. Wow, 99.5%. How is that possible, folks? The administration has approved, writes Stephen Denon, 99.5% of applications of those who've applied for legal status under Obama's non-deportation policy for young adults, granting legal status to more than 250,000 formerly illegal immigrants. I mean, what do you have to do? Beat up your girlfriend to get deported? But apparently that doesn't get you deported either. Officials said they expect the approval rate to drop. Well, gee, to what? Like 99.3? As more cases make their way through the system, as it takes longer to deny an application than to approve it. Indeed, the approval rate has already dropped. You want to hear this? From 99.8 a month ago to 99.5. Well, by this rate, it'll be all the way down to 99.1 before you know it. But the high rate leaves others wondering whether the administration is doing all it can to weed out fraud or potentially dangerous illegal immigrants in the Deferred Action for Childhood Approvals Program. You ever hear that program before? What the hell are they? The DACA. Oh, okay, it's the DACA. You really have to wonder who they're giving deferred action to and what kind of risks they represent to us, said Jessica Vaughn, Director of Policy Studies for the Center for Immigration Studies. Oh, we can't believe the Center for Immigration Studies, one of those right-wing groups. By the way, are there any left-wing groups left? No. We don't call them left-wing groups anymore, do we? Call them policy groups and think tanks. Let's see. So anyway, 99.5% approval rate, but you should be happy. Last month it was 99.8%. Now, let me ask you this. 250,000 people. Are you telling me that 99.8% last month, 99.5% this month, are all deserving of U.S. citizenship? Hell, I'll be honest with you. I look around this country at American citizens. I don't think 99.5% of American citizens should be here. But that's a whole other story. But isn't that amazing? In other words, if you're here, you're going to be a citizen. Pretty much, that's it. But we have a rigorous system in place. And if we don't, that's why we need comprehensive immigration reform. What? That's right. We have a rigorous system in place. Everything's working very well. And if it's not, that's why we need more of it. Oh, okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, here's one last one. Also the Washington Times. Immigration officer. Congress heeded illegal immigrants, not law enforcement. The chief of the union representing immigration agents and officers told Congress, that would be ICE, on Monday that illegal immigrants had more say-so in drafting the new Senate immigration bill than the government's own law enforcement agents. They don't want to hear from these guys and ladies. His testimony capped off an emotionally charged day that saw a former illegal immigrant plead for a full path to citizenship and saw lawmakers heated. Say what? Let me ask you a question. Do illegal immigrants testify in front of whatever Mexico has as a government? Or anywhere else in the free world? Or the almost free world? I mean, in the rest of the world, oh, he's an illegal immigrant? What do you mean he's testifying? The cuffs go on and they go home. We're not torturing them. We're not imprisoning them. We're sending them home. Apparently home really sucks. I really don't understand it. People come here from countries like Mexico, and suddenly it's like a prison sentence to send them back. Meanwhile, on Cinco de Mayo Day, we're marching from Mexico. Well, why? I don't get. I'm so damn confused. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And by the way, I'm not picking on Mexico. Maybe it's the Chechnyans too. I don't know. We love our culture. We love our country, but you're in America. I mean, we love America.